My name is Evelyn. I am 97 years old, and if you live this long, you eventually realize something surprising about happiness. Most of what you believed about it was wrong. Not completely wrong, just incomplete. When I was young, happiness seemed like something you could build if you followed the right steps. Finish school, find someone to love, build a stable home, work hard, save money, raise children, and one day, if everything went according to plan, happiness would arrive like a reward. That's the story most of us believed. And to be fair, parts of that story are true. But there were also quiet lies hidden inside it. Lies I didn't recognize until many decades had already passed. Now that I'm 97, those lies look very clear to me. There were 6 of them, 6 beliefs about happiness that shaped the way I lived for many years. The first lie I believed was this: happiness will come once everything is settled. When you're young, life feels like preparation. You're preparing for stability, preparing for security, preparing for the moment when things will finally calm down. I remember thinking this very clearly when I was in my 20s. Once I finish school, life will settle. Then in my 30s, I thought the same thing. Once the children are older, life will settle. Then in my 40s, once the mortgage is paid, life will settle. But life never truly settles. It changes. Responsibilities shift. New challenges appear. The calm moment you imagine always stays slightly ahead of where you are. And if you wait for life to become perfectly arranged before allowing yourself to feel happy, you will spend many years postponing it. Happiness doesn't arrive when life becomes easy. It appears in the middle of complicated days, in small moments, a conversation that lasts longer than expected, a quiet evening when everyone is finally home, a laugh that interrupts a stressful afternoon. Those moments existed in my life long before I noticed them. But because I believed happiness would come later, I often overlooked the happiness that was already there. The second lie I believed was this: other people must understand me for me to be happy. This belief sounds reasonable. We all want to feel understood. We want the people we love to recognize who we are. But I spent many years feeling disappointed when others didn't see things exactly the way I did. My husband and I loved each other deeply, but we did not always understand each other perfectly. No 2 people ever do. There were times when I believed happiness required perfect emotional alignment. But relationships rarely work that way. Real relationships involve misunderstanding sometimes, different perspectives, moments when someone you love cannot fully grasp what you are feeling. I learned that happiness does not come from being perfectly understood. It comes from continuing to care about each other, even when understanding is incomplete. That small shift changed many of my relationships later in life. The third lie I believed was this: happiness means feeling good most of the time. This may be the most common misunderstanding of all. When people talk about happiness, they often imagine a life free from discomfort, free from sadness, free from worry. But life does not work that way. Every life contains loss. Every life contains disappointment. Every life contains periods of confusion or uncertainty. For many years, I believed those emotions meant something was wrong, that I had somehow failed to create a happy life. But happiness is not the absence of difficult feelings. It is the ability to continue finding meaning even while those feelings exist. After my husband passed away when I was 71, grief stayed with me for a long time. Yet even during that grief, there were moments of warmth. A friend visiting unexpectedly, a grandchild telling a story that made me laugh, a memory that brought more comfort than pain. Those moments taught me that happiness and sadness can exist side by side. They are not enemies. They are part of the same human experience. The fourth lie I believed about happiness took even longer to understand, and that one changed the way I saw almost everything in my life. The fourth lie I believed about happiness was one that shaped many of my middle years. It sounded very sensible at the time. Happiness comes from having enough. Enough money, enough security, enough comfort to finally relax. When I was younger, this belief felt almost responsible. After all, providing stability for a family matters. Bills must be paid, homes must be maintained, children must be cared for. But somewhere along the way, I began connecting happiness with a particular idea of security. I believed that once our finances reached a certain point, a deep sense of peace would arrive automatically. I remember a conversation my husband and I had when we were in our early 40s. We were sitting at the kitchen table, reviewing expenses, talking about savings, making plans for the future. I said something like, "Once we're finally comfortable, life will feel easier." He smiled and said, "Life always finds something new to worry about." At the time, I thought he was joking. Now I know he was right. Security is valuable, but the feeling of enough is not created by numbers alone. I met people during my life who had very little money and still seemed content. And I met others who had accumulated impressive wealth but remained restless. The difference was not their bank accounts, it was their expectations. People who believe happiness depends on reaching a particular level of comfort often move the goalpost each time they arrive there. What once seemed like enough begins to feel ordinary. Then the mind quietly asks for more. More security, more certainty, more protection from life's unpredictability. But life is unpredictable by nature. No amount of planning removes that entirely. Over time, I realized something simple. Financial stability protects you from certain hardships, but happiness does not grow from the size of your safety net. It grows from the way you experience the life you already have. Once I understood that, my relationship with money became calmer. It remained important, but it stopped being the thing I believed would deliver happiness. The fifth lie I believed about happiness was something I carried well into my 60s. Happiness must be shared to be real. This one is subtle. Humans are social creatures. We value companionship deeply. For many years, I believed that moments only truly mattered if someone else was there to experience them with me. Family dinners, vacations, celebrations. Those moments were wonderful, of course, but when my husband passed away, I suddenly faced a reality I had never fully considered. Much of my life would now be lived alone. At first, that thought frightened me. I believed that happiness required someone sitting across from you, someone to witness the moment. But gradually, I discovered something unexpected. Joy can exist in solitude too. It simply looks different. It might appear during a quiet morning when sunlight fills the room, or during a walk where you suddenly notice the smell of rain in the air, or while reading a book that makes you feel connected to someone who lived in another time entirely. Those moments may not be shared, but they are still real. Learning to appreciate solitude changed the way I experienced the later decades of my life. Instead of waiting for happiness to appear during gatherings or events, I began noticing it during ordinary moments: a cup of tea, a letter from an old friend, the quiet satisfaction of finishing something I started. These small experiences formed a steady background of contentment, and they reminded me that happiness does not require constant company. It requires attention to what is already present. The sixth and final lie I believed about happiness took the longest to understand. It is also the one I see younger people struggling with most today. The lie is this: happiness comes from becoming the person you plan to be. When we are young, we imagine very specific versions of our future selves. The career we will build, the type of family we will have, the life we will construct step by step. Those images become quiet expectations. And if life unfolds differently, we sometimes believe we have failed. I experienced this myself in my 50s. Certain plans I had imagined when I was younger simply did not happen. Paths I thought I would follow closed unexpectedly. For a while, I believed those changes meant something important had gone wrong. But as the years continued passing, I noticed something interesting. The life I actually lived contained many experiences I could never have predicted. Friendships that appeared by accident, moments of kindness from strangers, small opportunities that changed the direction of entire years. None of those things existed in my original plan, yet many of them became some of the most meaningful parts of my life. That realization helped me understand something important. Life is not a blueprint you follow exactly. It is something that unfolds through interaction with the world, unexpected events, unplanned encounters, new ideas. If you cling too tightly to the image of who you thought you would become, you may overlook the richness of who you are actually becoming. Flexibility is one of the most powerful companions of happiness. It allows you to accept life as it unfolds, rather than constantly comparing it to an imagined version. When I look back now, across nearly a century of living, I see how these 6 lies quietly shaped many of my decisions. They influenced how I interpreted my experiences. They shaped the way I measured success and contentment. But the most important realization came after I finally recognized those lies for what they were. Because once those beliefs faded, something much clearer appeared in their place. And that clarity changed the way I see happiness entirely. Once those 6 lies slowly fell away, happiness began looking very different to me. Not dramatic, not something that arrived all at once. More like a quiet clarity that appeared over time. At 97, when I look back across the decades, I see something very simple that I couldn't see when I was younger. Happiness is not something you build like a house. It's something you notice while life is already happening. That shift in understanding changed the way I live the years I have left. Instead of asking, "How do I become happy?" I began asking a different question. What actually matters today? That question sounds small, but it quietly rearranges your priorities. When you're young, happiness often feels like a large future goal. You imagine a moment when everything will finally be arranged correctly. The right work, the right home, the right relationships. But when you live long enough, you realize that life never arranges itself perfectly. There are always unfinished pieces, unanswered questions, unexpected changes, and yet happiness still appears, usually in places you once overlooked. For me, happiness now lives in ordinary details. A quiet morning with sunlight entering the kitchen window. The sound of birds that return to the same tree every spring. A phone call from my granddaughter describing something that happened at school. None of these moments look extraordinary, but they carry something very powerful. Presence. Presence is something I didn't appreciate enough when I was younger. My mind was usually somewhere else, thinking about tomorrow, thinking about responsibilities, thinking about what needed to be improved or fixed. Many years of my life passed that way, busy, focused, productive, but not always attentive. Attention is the doorway through which happiness enters. If your attention is always somewhere else, happiness passes quietly by. It doesn't knock loudly. It simply appears in small moments that are easy to miss. At 97, I notice those moments much more easily, partly because life has slowed down, but partly because I have learned what truly deserves my attention. Relationships, for example, feel very different to me now. When I was younger, I often believed relationships needed to be perfect. I expected certain people to behave certain ways. I felt disappointed when they didn't. But time changes the way you see others. You begin recognizing how complicated every human life is. People carry their own fears, their own hopes, their own misunderstandings. Once I accepted that, my relationships became gentler. I stopped trying to correct every disagreement, stopped expecting everyone to understand me completely. Instead, I focused on something simpler: kindness. Kindness does not require perfect understanding. It simply requires goodwill. That shift allowed many relationships in my life to feel warmer and more forgiving. Another thing that matters far more than I once believed is gratitude. Gratitude sounds like a polite word people say when they don't know what else to say. But real gratitude changes the way the mind experiences the world. When you practice noticing what is already good in your life, your attention moves away from what is missing. And what is missing will always exist. There will always be things you wish were different. Health challenges, opportunities that never arrived, people you lost too soon. Gratitude does not erase those realities, but it balances them. It reminds you that even during difficult years, something valuable still exists. A conversation, a memory, a moment of quiet beauty. Those small recognitions gradually transform the atmosphere of your life. At 97, my days are much quieter than they once were. Many of the people who shared my early years are gone now. The house that once felt crowded now feels spacious. Sometimes visitors worry that this quiet must feel lonely. But the truth is something different. Quiet has its own richness. In quiet moments, memories surface. Stories from decades ago. Faces of people I loved. Lessons learned slowly over time. Those memories feel like companions now. They remind me that happiness is not only something you experience in the present, it also lives in the way you carry the past. And when I look back, I do not see a perfectly happy life. No one has that. I see a life filled with moments, some joyful, some painful, many ordinary, but all of them meaningful in ways I could not see while they were unfolding. If someone younger asked me today what truly matters for happiness, I would not give them a complicated answer. I would say this: pay attention to your life while it is happening. Do not postpone joy until circumstances become perfect. Care about people more than winning arguments. Allow your plans to change when life surprises you. And remember that happiness is rarely something you chase successfully. It is something you recognize when you finally slow down enough to see it. At 97, I am not chasing happiness anymore. I simply notice it, in small moments, in quiet afternoons, in the simple fact that I am still here, still able to observe this strange, beautiful world continuing around me. And that, I believe now, is what actually matters. Thank you for watching this video. Click here to watch another video that might interest you.